Have you ever noticed how some guys can just walk into a room and people naturally gravitate toward them? It's almost like magic. People smile, they subtly fix their hair, or they'll even go completely out of their way just to start a conversation with them. It kind of makes you wonder, right? Like, do you actually need millions in the bank to be that attractive? Do you have to look like you just stepped off a runway? Well, the short answer is absolutely not. The truth is actually a whole lot more fascinating. It's really not about external flashiness at all. It's about a deep, grounded masculine presence. It's this psychological state that effortlessly pulls people in without you ever having to raise your voice, show off, or honestly, even try. So, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive into a pretty brilliant analysis of what naturally draws people in. And it turns out the secret isn't some cheesy new psychological trick. It's actually rooted in ancient Stoic philosophy. We're going to unpack exactly how that philosophy translates into these subtle everyday behaviors that, frankly, 99% of guys completely miss. These are qualities that go way beyond just building surface-level physical attraction. They create this deep, undeniable magnetic pull. And the absolute best part, these are mindsets anyone can learn. So let's jump right in. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The secret of attraction. 2. Flirting without the tension. 3. Mastering calm eye contact. 4. Safe and calm energy. 5. The art of subtle touch. And finally, 6. Becoming the rare man. Let's start with section 1. The secret of attraction, beyond wealth and looks. Okay, so what are we really talking about here? True attraction stems from what we call a masculine presence. It's entirely an internal mindset, rather than, relying on external flashiness. Your mindset literally becomes your appeal. Think of a classic Stoic philosopher, completely unbothered, highly observant, and totally at ease with himself. When you carry that kind of presence, you don't need to loudly announce your arrival to the room. Your quiet confidence does all the heavy lifting for you. Now let's break down exactly how this mindset translates into actual actionable behaviors. Moving right along to section 2, flirting without the tension, the power of detachment. There's this amazing quote from the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Think about that for a second. Flirting is basically just a form of playful provocation, right? But here's the real secret. If you don't get trapped in desperately needing a specific outcome, the other person actually gets pulled into the game instead. You're participating, sure, but you aren't desperate to win. Look at the stark contrast between these two approaches. I mean, it's a night and day. Most people approach flirting completely the wrong way. They're sweaty, needy, firing off these cheap lines, and just desperately seeking validation. Stoic flirting, on the flip side, is just playful teasing. You aren't dropping heavy sexual hints. You just offer a confident smile, and crucially, you aren't afraid to casually look away and remove your attention. You're just enjoying the moment with zero expectations. And here's where the magic happens in their head. When you completely remove your need for their validation, their mind immediately steps in to fill that void with these exact questions. They start wondering, wait, am I not special to him? Does he talk like this to everyone? Is he just teasing me? Because you aren't actively trying to win them over, they subconsciously feel like they are the ones who need to figure you out. It transforms a really simple, detached conversation into this deep, fascinating mix of mystery and desire. Let's look at section 3 now. Mastering calm eye contact, the art of observation. Seneca hit the nail on the head with this profound thought. The brave man is free. And this anchors our approach to eye contact perfectly. Looking fearlessly into someone's eyes without any hunger, lust, or desperation is honestly the ultimate display of bravery and freedom. You aren't visually grasping at them, you're simply freely observing. Because, let's be honest, we've all seen the wrong way to do this. It usually falls into 2 camps. It's either an unblinking, creepy staring contest, or it's nervously darting your eyes away the split second they look back because you're intimidated. The Stoic way is entirely different. You don't just stare blankly or act like you don't care. Instead, you offer this calm, pure awareness. You look at them as if you're observing their mind, rather than just scanning their physical body. It's a gaze that is completely free of hunger. And the results of this? They're honestly wild. Because you aren't freely giving away your validation like everyone else does, the other person becomes intensely curious. Their internal monologue kicks into overdrive. Why isn't he instantly giving me all his attention? Am I not attractive to him?
You haven't even used a single pickup line, but you have occupied prime real estate in their mind. You've triggered their curiosity and that innate psychological urge to chase.
Which brings us to Section 4, Safe and Calm Energy, Stability in a Chaotic World.
Marcus Aurelius essentially gave us the ultimate cheat code here. This ancient wisdom points directly to a massive problem in our hyper-reactive modern world. Everyone today is in a rush, they panic easily, and they're just highly reactive. True power, and by extension, true attraction, is remaining emotionally controlled when literally everyone around you is losing their cool. So this introduces the concept of safe masculine energy. When someone sees you remaining confident, silent, and totally grounded amidst chaos, it triggers something deeply primal. It provides a subconscious feeling of ultimate safety and dominant calm. You aren't running around trying to please everyone, you're just present. And let me tell you, people are naturally drawn to the one person in the room who isn't easily shaken by what's going on around them. Let's pivot a bit to Section 5, the art of subtle touch, sparking the imagination. Okay, this is probably my favorite part. It's fascinating how we can flip Seneca's famous quote here. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. But in the realm of psychology and human connection, deep attraction is also built primarily in the imagination. It's really not about grand gestures. It's about giving the mind just enough of a tiny spark to let its own imagination do all the heavy lifting." Let's picture this practical scenario at a cafe to see how this actually works. You definitely don't want to be the guy constantly tapping shoulders or finding weak excuses to touch someone. That just creates resistance. Instead, try these steps. She says something genuinely funny, you place a hand lightly on her wrist for exactly 1 second to acknowledge the moment, and then you immediately remove it without showing any lingering intent. It's conscious, it's highly natural, and because it's so incredibly brief, it is extremely rare. And here is why that specific technique works like a charm. Because the touch was brief, appropriate, and totally devoid of any obvious needy intent, her mind is going to start racing. Wait, was that intentional? Did he feel a spark too? Was that a signal? You've basically given her imagination a puzzle to solve. She will likely replay that single, 1-second moment on a loop all day long, building the attraction entirely within her own mind. Finally, we reach Section 6, Becoming the Rare Man, the Final Transformation. So how do we tie this all together? It all comes down to a holistic Stoic transformation. You don't just act out these tips like a script, you actually internalize them. The whole shebang. Your body naturally begins to reflect that masculine calmness and grounded safety. Your mind becomes adept at non-needy, playful interactions, totally detached from the outcome. And your eyes, they hold a steady, fearless, and pure focus. When you align your body, your mind, and your gaze in this exact way, you naturally exude a rare presence that people are simply irresistibly drawn to. So I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought. Knowing these psychological triggers is one thing. Actually practicing the self-control to embody them is a completely different ballgame. Are you ready to stop chasing validation and start being the grounded, rare man that naturally inspires desire? Take these timeless Stoic principles, step out into the real world, and just observe how your calm presence changes the way everyone interacts with you. It's a real game changer. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.